Hey guys, it's Adam Parker Bailey, and today I wanted to finish the list that I had started, the Truth Control's Top 100 Conspiracy Theories. So this is the second half, starting with 49. AIDS created in a lab. Yeah, so there was a doctor that had come forward on his deathbed and proclaimed that he had created AIDS in a lab. I don't remember his name. But beyond that, if you just look at the molecule itself, it looks unnatural. It doesn't look like something that was created by nature. So yeah, it seems to me like that's a very likely thing. Probably just part of the Nazi eugenics program targeting blacks and homosexuals. 48, peak oil. There's no such thing as peak oil. There's way more reserves in there admitting. But, you know, the rarer the product, the more expensive it is. You know, they had, I remember they said they found like 1 trillion barrels of oil or more in like the Midwest somewhere. And there was like one news blurb about it, and then the whole thing just went dark. And I'm almost certain that they can create oil in synthetically in a lab. That's even better than what they pull out of the ground. But like I said, the more scarce the product, the more you can charge for it. And the energy companies, that's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Anyway, there's no such thing as peak oil. 47, feminism. Yeah, so if you watch Aaron Rousseau's documentary, From Freedom to Fascism, which is fantastic, I highly recommend it. He talks about in there, when he was friends with Nick Rockefeller, he had relayed to Aaron that the whole Women's Lib movement was funded by the Rockefellers. And they did so to be able to tax the other half of the population and to encourage children to be exposed to the state earlier on. So yeah, feminism funded by the Rockefellers. 46. Income tax is not a law. Yeah, so there's no law requiring you to pay federal income tax. I've read the material over and over. There's no law there. There's no law in there anywhere that says anyone's required to pay federal income tax. And if anyone wants to challenge me, you're more than welcome. Show me. Show me where in the material it says that you're required to pay, because I can't find it. Some court cases have been won. Some court cases have been lost. They will go after you if you don't pay. Don't get me wrong, but as to the legality, you know, the 16th Amendment was supposed to, you know, there's no law. Leave it at that. 45, the Knights of Malta. So, yeah, the Knights of Malta, they're a secret society within the Vatican. One of several. The Knights of Columbus, Knights of the Golden Fleece, Opus Dei, P2 Lodge Freemasonry is very highly connected to the Vatican, as well as a lot of Knights of Malta members are Freemasons. Then, of course, the Jesuits. You know, all these little secret societies have their own internal power struggles between them. As far as I know, the Jesuits kind of pulled ahead some years back and have been in control for a while. The Jesuits are probably the most powerful organization on the planet at the moment. Very corrupt. They're actually the funders and, you know, instigators of Zionism. Believe it or not. That's a topic for another time, though. 44, Oklahoma City bombing. Yeah, textbook false flag. You know, same old story. Hegelian dialectic in action every time. How many times can they fool us? You know, they had some laws they wanted to pass. Yada, yada, yada. Problem, reaction, solution. Whatever you want to call it. Let's see. 43, Project MK Ultra. Well, kind of a big topic there. MK Ultra is the basic mind control program that was started by the Nazis in Nazi Germany, and then carried on after Operation Paperclip. The MK stands for mind control in MK Ultra. It's German, that's why it's a K instead of a C. It's just a blanket term for all the different mind control projects they have. Within that, you've got, Monarch programming, you got, things like Project Mannequin, a whole slew of projects, all with various different agendas and different goals. A lot of this research was spearheaded by Dr. Joseph Mengele and also Sigmund Freud, and later carried on with Tavistock Institute and Stanford Research Institute. Yeah, crazy stuff. 42, Russian Revolution created by America and Britain. Well, yeah, I mean, in a sense, I suppose, the Bolshevik Revolution was a Jewish Zionist movement, so really just the Zionist powers, which happened to be in control of American Britain, more or less, did, instigate a lot of that. So I guess by extension you could say American Britain created the Russian Revolution, but it's, more accurately the Zionists. 41, eugenics. Yeah, so, this is the basic Nazi philosophy of the Uberman, Superman. They believe that their genetics are superior. Going back to Atlantis times, actually. This is a funny thing people don't realize about the Nazis is that the entire Nazi philosophy was completely enmeshed in extraterrestrials and Atlantis and all of that. They 100% wholeheartedly believed it. And they believed that, back in Atlantean times, they had this superior genetics which allowed them to live longer and be stronger and faster and smarter and yada yada yada. And that's why the whole genetic purification thing was justified in their mind. However, they were simply operating under false science, especially with the emergent sciences of epigenetics and the work of people like Dr. Bruce Lipton, Dr. Greg Braden, other genius minds. We're starting to realize now that the environment has a way bigger impact on the development, function, and efficacy of genes in all capacities. You can have somebody with a predisposition for, diminished intelligence, but with the proper stimulation of the environment, could grow to be a genius, Nobel laureate, even, So that whole argument is just kind of out the window at this point. 40, the Lincoln assassination. Yeah, the man was, the man abolished slavery, which was, pissed them off enough, and then he was trying to get the United States to print its own money, which is, you don't do that. That's not allowed. That's why the whole American Revolution happened, is because Ben Franklin went over and mingled with the wealthy European aristocrats, as he was wont to do. He, they asked him how everybody was able to have such a high standard of living, and he told them that that's because they were using colonial script. And that's why the King George imposed so many taxes. That's why that whole thing started. John Wilkes Booth, I'm almost positive, was a 33rd degree Freemason, so there you have it. 39, environmentalism. So, this is tough because when you talk about environmentalism and the corruption involved in environmentalism, people just automatically assume that you're trying to say that you support, pollution and destruction of the environment. But the problem is there's a lot of corruption involved with environmentalism and the whole Go Green movement. People got to be careful. Obviously, you want to clean up the environment, you want to stop pollution, you want to, become more homogeneous, or, become blended with the environment or whatever. We need to be more natural in the way that we do things, obviously. But the way they're going about it is not always the proper way. 38, depopulation. See, this is another one that people's words get mixed. Even I at one point had believed in depopulation and believed that there needed to be a reduction of the population. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that that thought wasn't really based on anything. There's obviously more than enough space on the planet to support how many people there are. The argument was about resources. People believe that there's not enough resources to go around. That is just not true. It's the mismanagement of the resources that's the problem. There's so much food that goes wasted every year because people don't have the purchasing power. So, really what it comes down to is that the economic system that we have developed, we have designed, does not support the amount of people on the planet. It's not financially viable to support the amount of people on the planet. And so people's solution to this is to murder an extremely large amount of the population to accommodate this fictional economic paradigm that we created, rather than just create a new economic paradigm that could support the amount of people on the planet. I mean, this is the insanity that this fucking species has come to. Anyway, yeah, that's depopulation. 37, Bohemian Grove. Yeah, so Bohemian Grove is a place in Northern California where every year on, I think, April 19th is when this starts. It's a satanic holiday of some sort. I don't remember what it's called, but anyway, every year they all get together, and this place in Northern California called Bohemian Grove is extremely exclusive, extremely tight security, and a lot of politicians and media moguls and very powerful people all get together and dress up in robes and perform satanic rituals. Something called the cremation of care rituals, one where they do a mock sacrifice of a child in front of this giant 40-foot tall stone owl. It's supposed to represent Moloch, which is an ancient Babylonian god. These people are doing this. This isn't a secret. This isn't like conjecture. This isn't a theory. This is happening. This is everyone. This is something that people know about, and people need to be more concerned about this. This should be cause for concern for a lot of people, that our politicians and other people are doing this every year, but nobody seems to want to talk about it. I don't know. Yeah. I think there's a picture of Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon both attending Bohemian Grove prior to either of them becoming president. So, there's a lot of a lot of collusion and stuff going on there. And I think there's a quote from Richard Nixon saying something about it's like the most faggoty thing that he'd ever seen or something. I don't know, something like that. You can look it up, but yeah, a lot of strange stuff going on in Bohemian Grove. 36, Jesuit ties to Illuminati. Right, yeah, so yeah, there are definitely some Illuminati members within the Jesuits. But like I said, the Jesuits are the most powerful, for sure, most powerful organization right now. Research Eric John Phelps' work. He has a book called The Vatican Assassins. Fantastic, exhaustive work on the Vatican and the history of the Jesuits and the corruption involved. It's a huge book. I mean, it's massive, but an excellent resource of research. And a brilliant man, absolutely brilliant man. Let's see. $35, crop circles. So, yeah. A lot of people think that crop circles have been debunked, but they have not. Absolutely have not. Some people came forward and claimed that, yeah, we can make crop circles, yada, yada, yada. But here's the deal. Here's the thing. Some of these patterns are so elaborate, there's no way that human beings could do it, and especially not within a single night. The other thing is, a lot of these have been reported to show up within a couple hours. Farmer goes, gets in his truck, drives to the local grocery store, comes back an hour and a half later, and this is huge, elaborate crop circle in the middle of his crops. There's a lot of lights and UFO activity associated with a lot of crop circles. The way that the actual crop is bent, too, is a big indicator of whether it's man-made or not. When the man-made ones, they bend the crop, it snaps and splits. Whereas the real ones, they'll bend perfectly without any split in it. And of course, the dead giveaway is radiation. You take a Geiger counter, and you can do a reading. And the real ones have radiation. The man-made ones don't. So, there are some man-made ones, but there's still some real crop circles. 34. Pearl Harbor was allowed to happen. Yeah, they knew about it. They needed an excuse to get people excited about getting into the war. And essentially what had happened was, the Zionists had created the whole situation in Germany with Hitler and let that thing go on until they finally got what they wanted. And once they got what they wanted, that's when they said, okay, we're going to bring the United States into the war. And when they did that, stopped him, stopped the whole thing. And, that's just how they do things. And essentially what they wanted to basically create a state in the Middle East. They wanted to create Israel. And once the Rothschilds were allowed to create Israel, that's when they said, okay, we're going to bring in the United States and end this shit. The whole thing was created and orchestrated by the Rothschilds. Anyway. 33, FEMA camps. Okay, so yeah. These are basically concentration camps by the Federal Emergency Management Association. FEMA. These are facilities which they're going to round us all up in anytime somebody decides to declare a national emergency. They could just simply release some kind of virus or whatever, and then say, oh, well, we got to round everybody up to protect everybody. I don't know, whatever. For whatever reason they want. But yeah, these camps are pretty scary, and people should research them. 32, CIA drug trafficking. Yeah, so this all surfaced with the Iran-Contra scandal, Oliver North trials and all that. Freeway, Ricky Ross, watched the documentary From Freedom to Fascism. No, I'm sorry. Watch American Drug War. That's the one I'm talking about. American Drug War is a great documentary talking about all this. And the work of Gary Webb and how he was murdered. But a lot of people thought that this is all ended. This all stopped after that Oliver North stuff. But it definitely did not. The NSA and the CIA and other various intelligence agencies that are involved in black projects need to find a way to fund them. You gotta find a way to fund projects that are not supposed to exist with money that's off the books. Well, how are you gonna do that? Drugs. Drugs is a great way to do that. It's a great source of income that's off the books. Sad fact. So yeah, the international drug trade is orchestrated by organizations like the CIA and the NSA. It is what it is. 31, chemtrails. Yeah, sorry, but they are real. Chemtrails are real. They're spraying aluminum and barium and strontium, and other biologicals, molds, and, human blood sometimes, and just weird shit. Yeah, they originally were doing this under the auspices of fighting global warming, they called it geoengineering, and they were saying we're going to combat the greenhouse gases by reflecting the rays of the sun, by spraying a bunch of harmful stuff in the air and to reflect the sun rays or whatever. It's all nonsense. It's all population control. It's all it's real. That's real shit. 30, Operation Paperclip. Yeah, so yeah, this is where the thousands of Nazi scientists and people came over to the United States and Britain after World War II to carry on with their research. They were deemed too valuable to kill or whatever, and a lot of the research was carried on. The thing is, though, by doing that, all that had happened was they carried on in secret with these top secret projects and then ended up linking up with each other. Towards the end of the war, the Nazis had established a base in Antarctica, and by Operation Paperclip and having them go to America and Britain, and with their new base in Antarctica, they all just ended up linking up and going underground. So the whole Nazi movement continued on, and the Fourth Reich is alive and well. The secret space program that is going on is, the Nazis were way ahead of the United States, and eventually what had happened was the United States realized that they were way out of their league, and by bringing over these Nazi scientists to carry on their research, they fucked up. And the Nazis were way more advanced than they were. And so, yeah. Anyway, Nazis, they definitely survived. Let's see. 29, Princess Diana murdered. Yeah, absolutely. She was gonna marry a Muslim. There's no way they could allow that. And the whole thing just reeks of ritual sacrifice. Look at the day she died. Look at where she died. Look at the name of the bridge she died under. The names of some of the statues that were around. Once the car crashed, nobody was allowed under that bridge for like an hour or something like that. Some ridiculous long amount of time, because they were waiting for her to die. She needed to die there under that bridge for the sacrifice to be complete. The whole thing was a ritual sacrifice. Sad. Anyway, 28, Operation Northwoods. Yeah, so this was an operation that's declassified. I don't think they ever carried through with it, but it's a example of false flag operations that the United States were going to engage in. So the reason it's so significant is we have incontrovertible proof that the United States does engage in false flag operations on its own people. So if they were going to do it then, what's to say that they haven't done it several times? And really, when you do the research, you come to find out that that's just their MO. A lot of these shootings are actual false flag operations. A lot of these bombings, false flag operations. What's Blackwater doing at the Boston bombings, the Boston Marathon bombings? I don't want to get into that, but yeah, people need to pay more attention to these things, to these events. They're, people want to try to make the claim that, the United States would never do something like that. Operation Northwoods, clearly they would. 27, fluoride in the water. God, people, fluoride is one of the most toxic chemicals out there. It's so bad. It's one of the main ingredients in rat poison. And it calcifies your pineal gland, makes people more docile. And what's the excuse for putting it in the water? To protect our teeth? Come on, people. The government doesn't give a fuck about your teeth. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You gotta be a complete adult to believe that. Come on, people. Ugh. Anyway. 26, RFID. Yeah, radio frequency ID, radio frequency identification. Yeah, it's just, the RFID chips, yeah, the technology has advanced to the point where they're extremely tiny, microscopic even. And yeah, they could track people with them pretty well. I don't know what else to say about that. 25, flu shots, vaccines. Yeah, look, I did a whole video talking about this. And again, I'm not arguing the science behind vaccinations and flu shots. That's makes sense, okay? It's the fact that we don't know what is in them. We don't know what's in these fucking shots. And I'm not ready just to start injecting my children with, foreign substances. Anyway, if you watch my video on vaccinations, if you want to learn more. 24, man-made global warming. Look, the whole solar system is changing. Every single planet, all the way up into Pluto and others, they're all having massive changes on them. Storms, weathers, conditions, planets heating up, cooling down, and we think that the stuff that's occurring on the Earth is man-made? What? That makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. It's not your fucking SUVs that's causing Pluto to heat up. Yeah, man-made global warming nonsense. 23, Big Pharma. Completely corrupt organizations, They need customers, not cures. The more they cure people, the less money they make. That's just how it works, people. Statin drugs, which is the biggest money maker of all pharmaceuticals, are terrible for you. Terrible. Nobody should be taking statin drugs. Anyway, yeah. They had that big scandal with Bayer aspirin, and they found out that a whole bunch of their hemophiliac medication was contaminated with the AIDS virus. And what did they do? Instead of destroying it like they should have done, they just shipped it overseas and sold it overseas because they didn't want to lose all that money. And intentionally infected people with the AIDS virus. And, they paid some stupid fine or whatever and then went on. Like, come on, this is just... And these are the people making the vaccines. You really trust these fucking people? I don't. 22, NASA. Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, NASA stands for never a straight answer. They're just that's their whole MO is deny. Yeah, I mean faking faking pictures, the whole bit, they just lie. I recall a story one time where a guy had recorded, he was messing with his ham radio, and he ended up picking up a transmission from the International Space Station. NASA was talking, and so he started to record it, and he recorded them saying, "We have the alien spacecraft under observation." And so he went to NASA, and he's like, "The hell is this?" And they said, "Oh no, we didn't say that." What do you mean you didn't say that? I have you on recording. This is your transmission, isn't it? No, we didn't say that. Like, that's just that. That's it. That's all they could say. No, that wasn't us. That's ridiculous. Yeah, fucking NASA. 21, intelligence agencies. Yeah, I don't know. CIA, NSA, DOD, DOE, Homeland Security. Varying levels of corruption within all of them. There's also some good people. There's a lot of white hats, so you could call them, and people that are doing good for the population within these organizations. And the scales are tipping now. More good people than bad people. Really, I think it's naval intelligence is the ones those are the good guys. Naval intelligence. Then, by extension, the Marines. Those are the people that are really, really fighting for humanity. Those top secret organizations. And the way this thing's kind of developed is like you had CIA, you had them collecting all their UFO data, and they started to get super corrupt, so they created the NSA to keep tabs on the CIA, and then the NSA blew up and got out of hand, and then the military was like, well, we need to find out what's going on too, so they start creating their own intelligence apparatuses, and the whole thing just mushrooms and snowballs. So yeah, that's how all that happens. 20. 3 world wars planned. Yeah. All 3 world wars were planned in advance. I'm pretty sure they're not going to make it to number 3, thankfully. But they were planned. 19. Area 51. Yeah. So America's infamous top secret facility that was supposed to not exist for a long time, but they've now admitted it does. Top secret facility where they test different aerospace vehicles, back engineered ET technologies. The whole Bob Lazar thing surface. I'm sure people are aware of that. If you're not, look into it. It's just one of thousands of deep underground military bases that are all over the planet. And a lot of them are connected underground with magnetic levitron trains. Of course, now they have teleportation technology too, so that kind of makes that all date. But yeah. Anyway, 18, Zionism. Yeah, so most people are aware of what Zionism is. It's the thing is that a lot of Jewish people are very vehemently opposed to Zionism. They're not. They don't go hand in hand. I think it was Timothy Geithner that said that you don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. Anyway, yeah. So, and like I said, a lot of that.